Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm Richard Lewis, Dublin Torrent Shields. You know us, you love us, that's why you're here. Sam's pressing buttons, he's still at my house in Vegas. Had to listen to him sing all through the 30-minute music intro we had. Is there any reason why you sing like Leadbelly, the 1920s troubadour? No matter what the song is, like. Cool, you'll have to listen to him while me and Duncan do the show, but like, it is uncanny.
I think now you've turned the gain up too much, unfortunately.
Oh,
I was telling Richard to turn it up because for me, at least, it was like low. So just saying, because problem is now you're talking, Richard, and if you know the way these shows go, there are always the 10-minute segments where one of us is essentially just by proxy addressing a player, telling what a cunt they are.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that.
We should really have cunt of the week feature at this point. Like, why are we just like slow playing it?
Listen, I've
cheeky
told you
cunt of the week.
No, I was looking at it. Shit, man, this podcast's been going for fucking. It's like 5 years almost, or something insane. 4 years.
You're right. I think it might have been 2015, right?
Yeah, it's 4 years. 4 years.
That makes sense. That's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I was looking at it last night when I was racked with crippling insomnia and, you know, the voices in my mind. And
was it as bad as I thought? Is that what you're thinking?
No.
Right about me.
No, it was. I just wanted to see sort of how long it had been around for. I mean, obviously there was a hiatus between seasons.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I've never addressed this, but since it's now going to be self-indulgent bullshit is the new working title for the podcast. Right.
Because the thing is, they can't complain if we call it that, Rich. In fact, the joke should be, it should be called self-indulgent bullshit that has nothing to do with Counter-Strike. That should be the long, full title. But then, obviously, at least 75% is still about Counter-Strike. So if anything, we make a mockery of them. Yeah,
so look, right. One of the things that I was like sort of going through and looking back at, you know, was like old comments and stuff. The overall quality of comments has definitely declined. I feel like our audience is kind of like, you know, the hardcore just don't even say anything. Sure. And the new ones that come and rubberneck, you know, they just say stupid things. Yeah. It's kind of sad. But one of the recurring stupid comments I see, and I've never talked about it on the show, is they go, well, how can it be the return? You've been back for 70 episodes now. How can it be the return? Like, I mean, so it's like, you know, when you give a season of a TV show like a title, right? So it's called that. And the reason we called it Return first it was called Not By the Numbers because we didn't know our alpha draft. Yeah, right. So it was called Not By the Numbers because we didn't know where we stood with the copyright from Alpha Draft. Now, Alpha Draft are very gracious and said to us we could call it By the Numbers. But then it's like, how do I distinguish it from the fact that there is a gap? This is a crowdfunded version. It is slightly different. So we called it Return By the Numbers. Now, I know this is blowing everyone's mind, but it doesn't mean that every time we do a show is the return. No, it just means this entire second season is called The Return.
It's not like when Vince
muted, by the way, Sam.
By the way, it's not like when Vince keeps retiring. Like, you know, sometimes I have to tell Vince, you know, you haven't retired. You just finished your game now, mate.
Exactly.
Thing is, the worst thing is I know it bothers him as well. That's why I just love to keep going back to it. Yeah, I'm an asshole at heart. I hope you understand that.
Oh, no, I don't. Like, obviously, if there's an open wound, you keep poking at it until you get a reaction. But anyway, so that's the dumbest comment, really, that we get. But yeah, been around. It's like over 4 years now with obviously a gap. And, you know, I think without putting too fine a point on it, because the other thing that me and Duncan do, because generally we only talk to each other kind of, you know, through Twitter DMs when we're not doing the show. Sure. We are negotiating something that might be coming up soon, where we might be doing another show together. Which I think will be interesting, and maybe
different concept, maybe.
Yeah, maybe we get that dream of us doing a show that isn't about esports, or maybe it is about esports, but maybe it's about all esports.
Exactly.
Yeah, but or maybe it's.
I can already imagine people who are like in fucking Fortnite and fighting game communities already just like fucking triggered eyes. What does he mean? All about esports? Well, don't worry, guys. He just said all about esports, so not Fortnite in the fighting game community.
Yeah, it doesn't count for you guys.
There we go. That's the old classic.
I mean, or we could be doing live 2020 election coverage for Fox News. Who knows?
Yeah. Remember to plug the sponsor as well.
yeah, it's coming. Well,
you know.
We'll cut all this fun out, like we did last week. So,
Richard, we don't want to place any restrictions on the way you do the show, but if you could not reference us directly after Fox News and the 2020 election.
Sorry, I say we'll just cut it out. That's just something.
Yeah, just keep editing it.
Yeah,
edit it.
Yeah. So anyway, or you could do that thing, Sam, where you do the plug, and it looks like it's coming out of my mouth.
Reasonable.
That was pretty good.
Does he try and do an accent?
No.
No, he just does it straight up.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, this is By the Numbers, return of By the Numbers, you cunts, brought to you in association with Rivalry.com. It's Rivalry.com now. We are getting the overlay from them. That's going to be completely different. But you can go to Rivalry.com, not GG like it says. You can use the code RLS. You get $350 in fee. Does it? Does it redirect?
Yeah, it redirects, yeah. I don't think they're getting rid of .gg because obviously they've advertised it everywhere. Yeah. Imagine if you just threw it away, it'd be fucking.
So I know. What sort of an idiot, what sort of an absolute cretin would take a URL, advertise it everywhere in photos and everything, and then not have bought that domain? Only an abject fool. I mean, someone who really needs to be taken down a peg or two.
I feel as a reference that's sailing over my head. But
I don't get it either.
Yeah, it's Duncan.
You are joking here, right?
No, go on.
Ah, surely joking. It's obviously Sadakist when he did the fucking decal on his car.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Which led to, fair enough, even if at the time, even if you at the time weren't on great terms with Monty, you have to give it up for when he made that fucking website.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
I love that as well, but I was even just saying, listen, mate, I love you, but that is hilarious. You never heard the story?
Oh,
tell
come on, Sam.
Tell Sam the story.
Right. Yeah. The quick version is what happened was, I think it was during PGL Krakow, because it was when Matt had that horrible thing happen where his car had been, I think it's when it had been stolen, and he was putting tweets out there saying like, here's my car, and here's my website. Oh, I fucked that up, joke about next, because he didn't have a website. He's going, here's my car, and it was a picture of his car racing. And he was saying, if you've seen this, like whatever, silver BMW or something, like if you've got any information, please let me know. And so what happened was, on his car, this is something not a lot of people knew, Matt had put decals that said like sadakist.com or something, or .gg or something, and he hadn't actually registered the URL, right? And even worse, I think someone else had like hogged the original one he was going to do, so he was going to have to change it anyway. So when he did this and put it on Twitter, Monty just responded. And Matt claims, right, that Monty was trying to needle him like this. So I don't know if this is true, but apparently Monty's response was something like, like Happy Canada Day, but like, by the way, like the URL on that card doesn't work. And Matt unfortunately took this as like Monty was trying to fuck with him in like a, like a moment of weakness. But I actually think Monty was also trying to make the legit point, which is like, mate, someone might go to the website thinking they have information and then they're not going to get. So the problem with this is, because then Sadakist and Monty got into a back and forth about like Overwatch or whatever, because Matt just went on the offensive straight into like sort of like your game shit or whatever. Monty just sat back and then thought like a fucking bastard, just thought, what can I do that's subtle, but I'll just fuck this guy up? Because everyone's petty as fuck. You have to know that about people on camera. So what he did, you're going to love this, Sam, is he went out and registered the domain sadakist.gg. And on it, he made it look like one of those shitty old like Angel Fire sites where it had all these sections. And so there was one section, this was the punchline of the whole thing. There was one section where it was like about me or something. And in it goes, my favorite movie is Dude, Where's My Car? Which is like, whoa, this is before he got the car back as well. That is fucking rough. Like, I can't even lie. That is like, to be fair, I know. And all he did is just tweet out like, I see Sadakist finally registered that website. That was banter, I've got to say.
No.
I've no doubt it was, deeply hurtful and everything, but
I was going to say, they ever made up for that? Or, still
I don't know. But then again,
that was Monty's greatest contribution.
It was good.
It's
pretty good.
So pretty good. Big fan of that. Anyway, yeah, so it's brought to you by Rivalry.com, sadakist.gg, and obviously all the patrons that chip in $1.05 to keep the show going. So look, let's start with talking about, I don't know, I fucking hate having to do it, but there's no ignoring it. We got to talk about gameplay updates.
That's true.
There is no avoiding this. So we were wondering what was going to happen to the current meta based on what we saw at the major, which was, a lot of orgs being bought. People were complaining about it, especially players saying it made CT-sided maps even more CT-sided because of the angles you can hold, the type of fights you can take. And people were saying it wasn't particularly well balanced. So there was a lot of dislike for the org meta. I was kind of indifferent, honestly. I mean, I think I could see and identify that, yes, it was a little bit overpowered, but I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people were saying. But yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. So we were wondering when the change was going to come. Well, it came yesterday. And not only have they made change to the orgs by putting its price back up to $3,300, they also have done what I've wanted for ages, which is to increase the magazine size of the Silent stem for the Silence Colt. Which is something I think only 2 episodes ago I was like, yeah, that's what I would want. It's now got an additional 5 bullets per magazine. So it's still not at the full 30, but it's certainly more than 20, 25 to be precise. That's how maths works. And then the other thing,
reserve.
Yes,
because remember it used to have a very small clip size in the back, so you couldn't really spam too much.
Yeah. And then on top of that, they've made, and this is the biggest change, and it comes completely out of left field. Well, I should mention as well, they did also change the price of shotguns. The Nova, the Sword Off, and the Mag 7 are all cheaper now. Mag 7's only $1,300, so expect to see lots of that in certain rounds and certain maps in certain situations. But yes, they've made a change now where the loss bonus has completely changed how it works. So now how it works is you lose 1 round off the loss bonus when you lose a round. So instead of a reset, it just takes 1 off. So and that changes how much money you get. I'm probably butchering the explanation, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So if you were at 4+ losses and you win that round, you don't get the reset. Instead, goes down to 3, and that's how the bonus works. So this is a very big change, and it's had kind of a mixed reaction from the pro community. A lot of players are saying this is completely unnecessary, and it wasn't warranted. We never discussed
What I love,
this.
by the way, is if you look at the players that are doing it, well, think about it, right? One of the obvious things about this sort of a change, the economical side of the game, is, let's face it, we all know there are extremely good players and teams who play in a manner that, as far as the economical game goes, basically disrespectful of the concept. Like, they force buy all the time. They're trying to just break the opponent's money all the time. So I think you can actually sort of see like a sort of natural bias in who likes it and who doesn't based on who is probably going to benefit from it.
Yeah, and also I got to say as well, sorry, it does keep stacking. So when you get to 4+, it keeps stacking up and up and up. So I'm kind of I actually welcome the change. I was like you. I seem to recall a tweet from you that went out where you were talking about how you like the concept of loss bonuses, and I mean, I think what you were intimating is you would do away with those altogether in Counter-Strike.
I actually don't like it generally because the big problem is this is one of those fundamental concepts. I always feel like whenever people claim that, we're going to do casting so that all the casuals can understand, the problem is this concept is so invisible in the game. It's like water, but everyone knows it's there. So the concept is this: the scoreboard lies. Like, we all know that if you have like a 10-5 half, you don't really have to win 6 gun rounds in a row.
Yeah.
Like, if you win the pistol and then you win the first gun round and then you break, like, we all know how that shit works. Like, you might actually only have to win 3 really meaningful rounds to get your 6. Might even be 2 in certain mad circumstances. So as a result, for the casual, that's actually a part that's lost on them. That's why, for example, I've seen certain like comebacks in games that I actually remember just thinking like, that wasn't as crazy as you think, right? They had full control. The opponent, was near to winning, so he did a force buy, and that made him lose out, and then he got reset again. Like, there's scenarios that happen. So I actually think, in line with this, I obviously haven't seen it really tested in pro players. I'll acknowledge there might be like an area I'm not sure, but based on the concept, as far as I can tell, I like it, mate. Like, I actually think it's going to make for, again, you have to really weigh up what you want to do if you're playing and you're in advantage, for example. You have to notice how the opponent's going, because it's going to make it so that, in theory, the better team will win the rounds and there will be more proper gun rounds. I love that.
Yeah, and I like the idea of, and listen, again, I don't think this is a popular opinion, but I like the idea that if you're dominating another team, the comeback mechanics now, are reduced to the point where it has to be a legitimate comeback. It can't be you win one round, you get a reset, you win another round, and all of a sudden you're in the driving seat because of how the economy works. I fucking hate that. If it means we see more one-sided shit stomps, so be it. Because that's probably what we should be seeing, I mean, look, I'm somebody that's campaigned. I want pistol rounds out the game still. Every time there's a big update of this nature, I want pistol rounds out the game. I'm sick of this 3-0 starting point bullshit that has plagued CS.
Anyone who's a fan of the NFL knows you just want to see each team get a chance to run their fucking strats and get a bunch of opportunities. And by the way, that's even going to be better in as much as people are going to think, but with all these, again, these are all things that could make it so that the underdog, it's easier for him if he can win a pistol round. I think it's cooler that the underdog just gets their set amount of rounds as well, and we really see if they're better than the other team. Not that they won the pivotal round 13, which inexplicably was arbitrarily the one that would decide the whole game.
Yeah, I look, and my justification for the pistol rounds is just this. It's like, at the end of the day, I've seen too many series where across 3 maps, the team that has won the most gun rounds loses. It's despicable. It's a ridiculous situation for any pro to have to come out of a game knowing that every time the real guns were in your hands, you outplayed your opponents, but you lose because of this bizarre, arbitrary pistol thing we've included, which is a complete anachronism. It shouldn't be in the game. It's like knife rounds, guys. I know people hey, it's the knife round. The knife round was never meant to be a sort of part of CS rule set. It was just a way to quickly decide which side you started on, because there wasn't a built-in way to flip a coin.
Yes.
Well, we've got that now, guys. We've got that. Knife rounds are dumb. They're really dumb, and they shouldn't be in the game. And pistol rounds are the same. It was a way to get the economy where we could hit a point in the game where suddenly it started to matter. Well, why not just create a rule set that has you start with like $10,000 on both sides, and we play from there? You're still going to see ecos. You're still going to see full pistol buys. You're still going to see half buys or quasi buys, whatever fucking technical term people want to use for it. You're still going to see all of those things. The difference now is they're going to have more meaning when you win one, because there isn't a pistol round around the corner where you can get 3 rounds basically off winning what I think ostensibly is a coin toss anyway. Yes. And I'm tired of the excuse about, but that would really harm pistol centric players. Fuck off. There aren't any of those. That is a mythology you've
almost
created.
Every great pistol player is just a sick aimer. It's like almost a 1-for-1.
Exactly. So look, the reality is that this introduction for me goes some way to addressing these ridiculous comeback mechanics that have plagued the CSGO era, which have made a lot of score lines and a lot of underdog upsets not invalid, but just not as spectacular as they should be as a storyline.
It's like I said, right? One of the first things I thought when I saw this is, mate, if you thought it was bad before, good luck beating Astralis now. Remember, this means that essentially you're never having their money be broken when they're down in a game. If they're leading and you're like, right, it's our time to put the hurt on them. What hurt? Like, they're right back in the game the next round. Like, so you're gonna have to legit. Now, by the way, that means whoever beats them is gonna be fucking amazing when they beat them.
No, and this is what I'm talking about. Like the day that if this new system stays in place, the day of the meaningless upset is gone, because you didn't just have to, right. Astralis has got 10 rounds in a row.
Yeah, this will make best of one a lot better.
Yeah, like, you legitimately, you can't just get the 1 and then the 2 and then, it's fine. You've got parity and you'll typically go back and forth after that point. And what you'll usually see in a lot of games is there's a reason you see these recurring score lines come up, and you go, "Oh, it was this type of half, and it was this, and it was this." There's a reason why there is these recurring narratives, and it's because of the way the game works on a mathematical level. Now, I'm not a mathematical mind, I don't understand the intricacies of it, but it's undoubtedly something that you see occur, and once a team gets to a certain point, they can usually win attritionally. Well, I don't want to see that, and I'd rather see a stomp than a game get dragged out past its natural point when we all know who the inevitable victor is going to be. What I'd much rather see is what this system brings to the table, which is it's not enough now. It's not enough to get that one crucial round. Maybe it goes down to 1v1 and you get lucky, and off the back of that, you break an entire team's economy. This is now, you have that lucky 1v1, now you got to get them the next round, and the next round, and the next round, and now you're talking, now you're back in the game, and it makes it legit. So I like it, but I understand in the Astralis era why so many pro teams would hate this.
Like, put it this way, that's why the first thought I had was going to be great for a team like Astralis, hard to kind of like fluke get back in the game. Meanwhile, for teams like Na'Vi and FaZe, who are all about, like, this is the famous thing, because I'll say it now because he's the coach of FaZe. The famous thing Yanko used to always say to me when I was in the green room is because I would say to him, "Oh, dude, why are they doing a force buy here? Like, this is so silly. Like, if they lose this round here, they're going to be up Shit's Creek, then they're back under the gun, and it's basically game over." Like, in this scenario, I'd just say you give up this one, you do, like, 1 or 2 proper gun rounds, and if you're the better team, you trust that, right, those 2 gun rounds will lead to the win. And he always used to tell me, yeah, but you have to understand, like, especially if there's sick players like Nico, in their brain, they're always going to think, but if I win this round, I'll break their money. And I was like, yeah, but your money's almost like fucked. That sort of makes sense because you're just saying basically I'll gamble. And in this scenario, I'm so skilled, my gamble's better than, an average person, but it's still gambling. So you notice those tend to be the kinds of people who don't really seem to like or understand this change. Whereas I've noticed the people who've either been quiet or low-key like it are the people who are going to benefit because they know. There's another aspect to this I want to mention, though.
Sure.
There's a couple of things I saw people mention, actually. They're not my ideas. One, that I can't remember who said this, I assume a caster, but one thing that now would make this really cool is if on the screen we had some sort of a graphic for where you're at. Like if it said, I'm at 3 Rosses and then it goes down to 2, so you could keep tracking it as a pleb, that would be really cool. And the other thing was, I saw Neo made a tweet where he said that like 4 years ago in an interview, he basically asked for a change like this. And his reasoning why was that when you were massively down in a game, what people don't think about, this is an area that I'm almost certain Valve doesn't think about this, because I noticed in their thinking, they tend to use like single factor analysis and they don't think about how things cohesively fit together and how, like, for example, one thing leads to another. So for example, like say someone says, well, if you're losing, and then you win a round, it's on you to win the next ones. No, because what if when I win the round that breaks my money, if I lose the next one, I only keep one man alive. Now, the next round, when I get some money, I spend it all on guns, which means I'm immediately back to 0 again. The next round, totally broke. So his point there was, you almost had, when you were massively down, to not only win the round, but win it super comfortably. So you're actually asking something ridiculous at times for like a legit comeback. Like at times you just felt you were playing the money, not the team. So I'm kind of with him. Like I think maybe he was a little bit exaggerating on that, but there's a valid point there. I can see those scenarios occurring.
Yeah, I mean, like any major gameplay overhaul, there are going to be some moments where people are going to point to and say, this is the example of why the system's not as good as what we used to have. Honestly, I hope that they ride it out. I hope it's not one of those gameplay updates where they just immediately walk it back because of community pressure or something like that. I'd like to see this stay in place until the next major, bare minimum, if not permanently. Let's see what it does holistically. Let's get a big data set from the pro scene. Let's see what the caliber of games are like. And I hope Valve don't walk it back, because I think this is going to make, maybe not across all pro games, a better quality of game, because we are going to see more one-sided blowouts and stomps. No doubt about it. But what we will see overall, I think, is a better quality of comeback, underdog victory, less excuses when teams lose. It's really going to reinforce those tier 2 teams when they eventually get the big results that they've worked so hard to get. So what you lose with one, you gain with the other. And it's
like with this as well. Oh, sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I almost think that's more important in a way.
No, because I've noticed that's the thing. Because Valve phrased it as like, this is what happens in the loss bonuses. What's funny is I know that some people will immediately think like, oh, this just like is that even that good? Because what they're not thinking about is like, in theory, by the way, if you're the underdog, yeah, you don't get fully reset. You still have money to buy, right? So you might think it helps the underdog. I don't think it does, because logically what it means is when the favorite is under the gun, he also is immediately back in the game. So the reason why I don't have a problem with that. I always find the most alien concept is people take an idea that is valid, which is I enjoy seeing upsets, and then they want to like engineer the game to make upsets. Well, no, what makes upsets brilliant is when, yeah, that team isn't as good, but they played better. That's what's cool. Yeah. It's not really cool that they sort of like flipped a coin and they won. Like I've always thought, for example, I totally get why No Limit Hold'em poker was so exciting, because you know the worst you can be is something like a 9-1 under. They can have like 90%, you can have 10. So the worst you can have is 10% or something mad in like pre-flop when you go all in. So obviously it meant that it's a really good way to evil than the 1,000th player. Like unlike chess, the 1,000th player could beat the best player in poker, but. There's a reason why the greatest poker players don't consider winning like the World Series the best accomplishment, and why they think that, like playing a normal game that doesn't have those sorts of rules is better. Like they acknowledge like it's good for plebs and it's good for the casuals. It's not that good for the pro scene though.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers.
No, there was one more thing.
Oh yeah, what was
flashbang assist?
Ah, yes.
Which we had heard rumored before, but it's coming in now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and listen, I think this is again, it's another reason why this has been a great update. I don't think there's too much that you can say contentiously about.
Well, there's one complaint that I've noticed. It Fallen who brought it up, but there is something to it. The downside of this, right, is let's say, for example, like. So think about how pros use flashes. Like oftentimes I'm flashing you into the corner so you can peek, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say you come around the corner and you kill me, and the flash assist shows that it was Bill behind you who threw the flash. You now not only know I'm there because I killed you, but you also know Bill, who you've never seen's there. So that unfortunately does give like a tiny bit of information extra to the opponent. So what Fallen, I think, said was, why not make the flash assist show for your team so you get credit from your team and the overlay of the casters, but don't show it to the opponent because it'll give the opponent like a little bit of extra info on the map that he doesn't have.
Well, that's
so I can kind of see his point. That's a nice tweak, I think.
No. I think that's fair. I think that's fair because obviously, look, this ties into what you were saying earlier about having the the stacks of win bonus showing in some capacity. They really need to bring into effect a much better set of tools and a much better UI. Yes. With information specifically for the game. If you want to do a broadcast through GoTV, I think the next big project, if I was Valve, is to radically alter the overlay, the information it displays, what you can tweak and toggle on and off, but also crucially the demo replay system, because that the one we've got is very subpar. In compared to even games that are older than CS:GO, honestly, and it's been this weird hangover from the fucking Source engine, but this has to now be the focus, because I'd like to see us get to a stage where when you watch like somebody do a demo review on a stream, or somebody that's just doing a pickup broadcast from a GoTV, I'd like it to still have all the tools and everything else. That again, when I go on Dota TV, I jump on. Yeah, I can set in the top corner. Here's people's net value. Here's their kills. Here's whatever the fuck I want. Here's damage, and I've got all these tools. I can bring up graphs with in-game data so you can see what the likelihood of them winning a game is, which of course gives epic storyline tools. When Eternal Envy fucks up for the millionth time, dies to the fucking Divine Rapier straight away, and you see the 99% victory plummet the other way. It's great, right? Like it really gives you all the tools you need to do a cool storyline. And on top of that, demo review is pretty, when I want to watch a replay in Dota, it's seamless. It's seamless. It's just like watching a game live. So they definitely need to focus on that next, I think. Like,
by the way, I've just realized something that's so tragic. Oh, what are the odds, right? Timing in life just sometimes doesn't go your way. Well, remember the player who bragged to me that he was the best flashbang player in the world. It was Smith's, and he's just retired again. He would have got all of his credit. Remember, he was telling me, for anyone who doesn't know the story, when one time, because this happens with pro players, sadly, guys, what happens is they get that third beer in them, and then they spot me across the bar, and they go, right, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. It's like, first of all, you're drunk and you're not me. So you're going to lose this argument anyway. But okay, let's go. And what I normally do is when they first come over, I normally try to, by the way, like most people would, just go like, we're having a drink now. Let's just leave all that. If they pursue it, I go sort of like, right, let's go. And then it's like, they then start trying to justify all their play. Now, I don't know what they're doing. That's sick, and I don't understand the game, and they're really secretly the best fucking team player in the world. So Smith starts arguing, like, blah, 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 I'm doing this stuff, and you don't understand. And I was like, yeah, but to be fair, mate, I mainly criticize you for being shit at killing people, and Counter-Strike is 90% killing people. And he goes, no. He goes, there's more to the game. You do not know. When my teammate kills someone, I flash him. He goes, if you could see in demo, they're all blind. And I said, but this is the problem. Every pro makes this mistake, Richard. They have a straight fire first line, but they don't know. My entire game, I'm like a counter puncher. My entire game's coming back after the punch. So when he said that, I seamlessly followed it up and said, so wait a minute, what you're telling me is when you lose all these aim duels, they're blind. And then you could just see him, like the sort of cogs turn his mind, like, this can't help me. And then all you need to know is, like, I think like fucking Shocks or MBK was coming over, like the cavalry was like, right, we better airlift this motherfucker out. It hasn't gone well. Like, come on, Edward. Like, so anyway, all I'm saying is this would be Smith's time. Yeah, he'd have 4 kills on the scoreboard, but he'd have flash assists up the fucking wazoo, wouldn't he? Yeah. He'd be a fucking little god.
Well, honestly, all I think the flash assist update is going to do is just underline the total superiority of Astralis. You're not going to see anybody else in the like when the first like stats come out. The people who get the most people blind per flashbang will be all Astralis players, maybe bar 1 or 2 exactly. Like out of the top 10, all 5 Astralis players will be.
It's going to be another moment where. Here's one thing, right? I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to actually, bizarrely, take the devil's advocate position and advocate for all the teams in the pro scene that aren't Astralis. And I believe North do a lot of the things Astralis do as well. They just don't win in the game, so no one gives a fuck. Right? Yeah. Those 2 teams, listen, I admire them. I think it's incredible the way they're pioneering all these like sports science concepts, and they're doing everything outside the game right to make it so that then if you do everything in the game right, you're at your maximum level. I appreciate that, right? And the people who want to do that, I'll applaud you. But I don't think, for example, that every team should have to do that, and everyone should have to just be completely under the yoke of some tyrant, just making them practice 24/7, tell them to go to bed at a certain time. I think there should be like different teams for different types of players, like the same way like in basketball, there's one team where they have a bunch of people that kind of the players dictate how they play. Another one, it's you have to follow the system. Well, along those lines, right, I'm not saying this to bash on everyone, but the problem is every time Astralis does something way better than everyone, so obviously originally it was utility, everyone turns it on the other teams like, why are you so shit? Well, unfortunately, this is going to be yet another area where it's going to be like, guys, they're even beating you just throwing flashbangs in people's faces. Like, it does, even though I do acknowledge there's a lot of nuance to that, just on the surface, it's going to make the other teams look silly. And like when FaZe Clan doesn't have half as many flashes, it's like, because remember the joke about a support player is they just throw the flashes, don't they? It's like, Nico, you don't have any support players in your team, which we have been telling you for fucking ages. Like, you haven't got any of the flashbangs. Same way, he's like the number 1 hater of the org. And then those stats came out for the major. FaZe was like the 3rd lowest team buying the org. So you're telling me the org's overpowered and you don't buy it? I'm not believing you, homie Jack. I don't know what that even means. Well, I blurred 2 things.
Sorry.
Make that a thing. Homie Jack is a thing.
It's definitely not a thing. But yeah.
By the way, in terms of the org, that we should probably quickly address that as well. All they did is price increase it to $200, right? Now, on the one hand, that's an improvement. I know a lot of people have suggested, like, you can keep it the same, but, and make it more expensive. I agree with that because the good thing about that is I mean, you can see it in the stats. Every good player has way more kills with an AK than he does with any of the M4s. Every good player, as in the best player in the world, has more AK kills than with the. That means that in some senses, if you run it right, terrorist side's overpowered because it's cheaper. You have a more powerful gun. It kills in one bullet. Like all these reasons. So anything that helps the CT side, I'm willing to give it a go. So I agree, making the price higher is good because the economy on the CT side's already precarious. I just personally agree with a lot of the people in the scene. I'd go a little bit higher still. I'd maybe add another couple of hundred on just to make it so that, like, if you're sick with the org, and let's say we buy into what everyone's saying, oh, it's easy, you just sit on the corner, blah, blah, blah. Let's say there's some truth to that, right? You now have to, it's like an orb. You now have to be willing to risk that. And if you lose those guns, yeah, it's going to cost you big time. And you're going to get less of those guns. That's actually a legit way to balance a gun, in my opinion.
So look, like I said, I think we'll wait and see how it pans out. Personally, just to surmise, I think it's a step in the right direction. Don't see them walking it back. I don't think the pros have that sort of. I
don't think they really have the power in that sense.
Yeah,
nah.
yeah. I think
Valve did this of their own accord.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes I've said this a bunch of times, and again, not a popular opinion. The idea that, and I hate this, the community, not just in Counter-Strike, but this is across all esports, seems to support the idea that pro players should be driving balance in games. Well, that's the dumbest fucking thing of all time. Like, there should be, certainly if something's broken and it can't, get their feedback on as to why. But the idea that they should be the kind of arbiters of how a competitive game pans out is
imagine if all these teams because if you remember, the thing that was crazy about when we got the like utility stats on hltv.org is obviously we went from not knowing at all how close or how far teams are to seeing that, like, famously Astralis would be like twice ahead of everyone else. And then, for example, teams like Big, when they came along, were going quite high. It's like, oh, interesting, they're actually ahead of better teams than them in this sense. Well, in similar fashion, it's like, by knowing that sort of thing, if we'd let every other team, as they did on fucking Twitter, cry all day long about, this, that, the other, the smoke, whatever, then they'd never adapt. They would just nerf everything that didn't work for them. And you'd end up in some fucked up lowest common denominator where the only stuff that stays is stuff that everyone, even who's bad at it, is sort of like, yeah, it's all right. Who wants to have that game? You got to be balanced in that sense as well. You got to take in the feedback of pros. But if you don't think it makes sense, it's a bad idea, ignore it. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we're gonna get some data about it, because obviously it's been implemented immediately into WESG. My understanding is that Valve didn't really give them the option. There's no way to kind of roll it back, so you got to just take this on the chin. So the tournament actually started. For those that don't know, WESG is a big Chinese tournament with a terrible concept behind it, in that you have to have 5 players of the same nationality to attend and basically represent your country, even though this works for some organizations.
Not really that politically correct concept at the moment, actually, Richard.
No. I mean,
some would say.
Completely absurd as well, because it's not framed as being an international tournament like the World Cup.
Yes.
You still, you've got 5 Swedes, you still go as NIP. You've got 5 French, you still go as G2. You're not Team France.
By the way, I always felt like that was the mistake that WCG made in 1.6. They should have made it that if SK Gaming from Sweden qualifies, they're Team Sweden. Yeah, they should have. That would have made more sense, Yeah.
But obviously, the issue you've then got there is in terms of financial support.
Sure.
They're not providing any. They don't pay. My understanding is that the financial input they have extends to hotels. I don't think they necessarily pay. For visas and stuff like this.
All right.
That you've got to get. I think they assist you. They connect you and stuff. But I think for stuff like the WCG. Again, my understanding was how it used to work back then. If you qualified, there was an expectation you had to attend, but you didn't receive any financial support to do that. So you were taking on this.
Depends on the years. Like in the latter years, I know you didn't get anything. Yeah, and famously, some teams qualified and couldn't go and had to give the spot up. I think it was only in the early days when they would just piss some money away that everyone got paid.
So the reason I bring that up is because obviously if you then have to have your team rebranded from SK to Team whatever, it's not good for the sponsors. It's not good for your brand. So you get very little out of it. But anyway, so they jump in at WESG. This is the big tournament in China. And the reason teams attend this isn't because it's a great event. They go for the huge prize pool, which
it's got $500K first place.
Yeah, $890,000.
And you can never play a FaZe Clan, Na'Vi.
No,
like you can't play. No. You can only play a few teams. And if you notice, Astralis don't even bother going.
Yeah, well, I mean, because look, every time we've covered this tournament on the podcast, what do we get, right? And here's what happens: immediately you get, the hotels suck. The logistics of the organization are terrible. Of the tournament are terrible. We've already had people saying that there's like no graphics drivers were installed into the tournament PCs.
Classic.
Just all. Yeah.
Look, guys, you have to install your own graphics drivers as well.
Yeah. And
the next level for WSG, by the way, if you guys are having any funding problems, just tell people they have to actually buy their own PC parts and make the PC. There you go. Just take it one layer back. Same prize money, but just take it one layer back.
Now, the tournament has actually got to the semi-final stage.
By the way, when you start talking about the results, I just want to point out that means that, well, it's now tomorrow for me, but yesterday's results were played on this new patch.
Yes.
A certain team lost. And here's the thing. Before their match, JW had said, the update got released 2 hours ago or something, and the remaining matches in WSG will be interesting. To which Zeus, coach of, obviously, MIBR, says, is this for real?
Yeah.
And all I'm going to tell you guys is...
Bitch, are you for real? Yeah, he didn't like it at all. Yeah.
It was for real.
It was real. Yeah. It was all too fucking real. So look,
real to real, because he has to fucking move it back to Brazil. Again, a 90s reference. I don't know why. I've just given up at this point, haven't I? After about 93, I'm just lost on Rich.
Yeah, no, I've realised I was going to start the podcast by making sure you're okay after hearing about Keith Flint, but we'll talk about that.
Listen, mate, that hit me hard.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. So anyway, rest in peace, brother. Anyway, so look, we'll talk about the results that have been there because we get to have a good laugh at MIBR and other things beyond. But the idea of taking this as a serious tournament is a joke. But I do want to bring up some serious stuff around the tournament. And again, it comes back to Richard's stance of fuck Chinese esports, which I think
it's a very nuanced stance, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, I started writing a column the other day. It might be one of my last pieces for VP Esports. I think I'm going to be moving on from that site soon. And basically, it's talking about just how pointless it is to waste my time trying to stop the things that I've been trying to stop for 15 years, and how I'm just not going to do it anymore. There's, as I get older, look, I laid the foundations. You guys can go and you can fight these battles if you really want. But I am getting increasingly bored of wasting my time to try and keep esports this like pure, clean. Yep. It's too big a fight for one guy to take on, or even a handful of guys to take on, when the community doesn't give a fuck, the money people don't give a fuck, the sponsors don't give a fuck, the TOs don't give a fuck, the betting platforms, apart from Rivalry.com, don't give a fuck. No one, you've got basically a handful of gambling sites and the Esports Integrity Coalition. Meanwhile, people like Activision Blizzard tell the Esports Integrity Coalition, we've got a handle on corruption in esports, so don't you worry about it. Don't you worry your pretty little heads about it. We'll cover that shit, and
the goal of fucking Blizzard to be saying that as well. The game that's had the most match fixing of all the top pros.
Yeah. And again, we don't. We just have to accept it. It's just, and I'm tired of it. Right. What have I said for years? Like, there is just bullshit in Chinese esports, and it's not even necessarily the fault of the pros. Like, sure, you always have a moral choice, but when you talk about the type of money, and when you talk about a place where people can just be renditioned off the streets for having certain political opinions, where there's a credit score system that can be leveraged to mean you can never even leave the country on a commercial flight because you made Facebook posts that the government doesn't like, and everybody has to do business with this government because it's just this huge part of the global economy. And I'm going, hey guys, maybe after that Dota thing where they lied, could we not? Or maybe after the StarCraft, another StarCraft, can we not? No, okay, no. No one gives a fuck. It's all about money. It's all about money. It doesn't matter how pure the company pretends to be. It's all about money. Nobody wants to combat corruption because corruption is a shortcut to profit. So I'm tired of it. But I do want to highlight this, and that is that once again, Pinnacle, one of the biggest bookmakers out there, had to basically cancel all bets at an $890,000 CSGO LAN because they believed that a game was fixed. So the WESG had a game between 5Power versus Enzo. What a surprise that it's Chinese and Hong Kong teams. Right, I don't know. Yeah. Do we still make the distinction?
I guess in theory we should.
Are you allowed to?
But technically, it is owned by China. We gave them it back or something.
Yeah,
like
that. it's like Taiwan, isn't it? Right? Like, does it exist? Who knows?
Just murky area in it.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm just going to say, when Richard's finished this part, I will address the concept of like match fixers, stuff like that. But I have no opinions on the country he's referring to. I did a tournament last year called the CS:GO Asia Championships, and I may again one day enter that country. And for some of the reasons he mentioned, one of the few topics I don't have opinions about.
No, that's fine. And listen, I know nobody can talk about it. I made my bed. I said I'm never going to fucking China, and that's why I can stand there and say fuck Chinese esports, Dunk. And I think it's very brave of you to honor China, which you believe is a great country.
I'm trying to make it better from the inside.
I get it. Yeah.
Try to lead the way.
Mate, you'll be fucking inside if they see this podcast for real. Anyway, let's look at this game. Sam, I'll give you the link. You can bring this up if you want. But basically, there was this game between Enzo and 5Power, and 5Power had actually upset Vici to qualify for the event. We've all seen the development of Vici, and we all saw them at the last major. We know how good that team is. 5Power got a win. I mean, listen, I don't even put any stock in results involving the supposed big teams anymore. We exist in a world where Captain Mo literally said, yeah, I've been freely associating with match fixers, and here are some chat logs of me entertaining the idea of fixing a game. And everyone went, oh, Captain Mo's so brave for taking a stand. Oh, love that guy. Fuck that guy, by the fucking way, you idiots. The fact that story just disappeared is mental.
That's his new name, Captain Momo.
It's mental. It's mental that people are just like, yep, good old Captain Mo, eh? No, that raises so many questions about that. When Ty Lue were really inconsistent, that is the time that these chat logs pertain to. There are questions. No one's having an investigation. And again, Valve, who literally have the power to press a button and just look at skins transactions. Maybe it's not skins. Maybe it's money. Who knows? They can clear up any skins betting like that. It's a 10-minute job. They're not interested in doing it because you then open a Pandora's box.
Of course, it never ends.
Yeah, it would never end. Of course, it would never end. And this is exactly the same reason why they don't take appeals. And I've always said, yeah, but a pro player has to be treated differently to the average pleb. And of course, developers don't like that. They like to publicly say plebs and pro players are the same. They're not the same, and they shouldn't be treated as such. A pleb is a pleb and should be treated like a pleb, and a pro player should have lots of additional benefits, but also lots of additional expectations.
They help the game. They help Valve make money.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's got to be some symbiosis. Come on.
Yeah, that is how it has to work. That's how every sports in the world works. Well, anyway, so Enzo somehow overcame 5Power 2-0.
By the power of odds. Against the odds, believe it or not, Richard.
I know, right, man? And you can see here that there was a email sent out from Pinnacle saying they investigated, and due to abnormal and suspicious betting activity, in other words, a huge amount of bets going the way of the underdog in a very short amount of time, which in case you can't put the dots together, that means somebody somewhere is communicating the way the result is going to go. They basically cancelled that, sent all bets back to the bettors, this is going on at a prime tour. We always said it would never happen at a big meaningful tournament. Well, it's happening in a big meaningful tournament, and it's not just the CS:GO that it supposedly happened at. I mean, Duncan, you were aware of this too. We also saw allegations, not proven at this moment in time, but once again, allegations from the same tournament that it was happening in StarCraft. This is an ongoing problem that you're never going to fix in Chinese esports, no pun intended. You're never going to resolve this issue because no one has the authority. Nobody has the authority. Nobody has the reach.
Remember, the police don't even look into it.
No, of course
not.
And
think about how I always said this. In fact, it's a point I made a year or two ago, which is the way you know esports isn't that big is because even the police don't investigate you potentially stealing like 50K. What area of your life could you go and have a hustle where you steal 50K and not even have to worry ever about it being investigated? Yeah. That's unreal.
So there are lots and lots of issues. Again, like I say, I'm just fucking tired of it. I'm just so tired of it. I'm tired of we're now talking about a tournament that has a $500,000 prize pool, a LAN, having fixed matches in it, and it's just part of the landscape. It's just part of the landscape. Like Valve haven't come in and said, you need to get your fucking ducks in a row, and we will not allow you to host another tournament if we ever see any fixed games going on or any games that we suspect are fixed. I doubt they've even talked to Pinnacle about it. I just think they're just like, listen.
I doubt they have.
Yeah, and it's just like, what are we trying to do here? Like, is this, we're going so far backwards? There was a story that I was working on it, but I didn't break this. I think a lot of people assumed that I did. But there was a story over on VP eSports, which was about a league. And I'm gonna write something up about this at some point. I'm gonna try and get all of this shit just done and published somewhere, and then. I'm just going to write columns for a living, just my opinions, and that's it. No more deep investigative stuff, because the work you put in for the rewards you get out isn't worth it.
But the amount of legwork you have to do is a lot.
Yeah, just to get told you're a liar by the fucking plebs you're trying to serve. Fuck you. What is the point? It's a waste of time.
By the way, along those lines,
games. Enjoy them.
Along those lines, that's one point I want to make. I know it's very easy to say, you'll miss me when I'm gone, but what people don't understand is that what people criticize you for, where they say you're too fucking blunt and you're argumentative and you're confrontational, you won't let things go. Those are all the perfect fucking qualities to have as an investigative journalist. Think about the movie where the cop is like, oh, he's fucking, you're too close to the case. I'm going to have to take you off it. It'd be a shit movie if he goes, you're right, Cap, just goes home and has a fucking hot cup of hot chocolate. And then the fucking murderer's just lose. Oh, brilliant. Sick how this works. Like, what you don't realize is the most depressing thing is if you know modern media now and how they fear the fucking people who can fuck them up if they whistleblow, etc. Because I've always said this. Here's how you know on some level that our culture is sick, is that whistleblowers aren't heroes. We destroy these motherfuckers' lives. And we stand back as massive corporations and governments wreck these motherfuckers. In movies, they're the hero. They don't tell you how in real life, the guy died with a bomb exploded him or he killed himself. It's terrible. And so what it shows is it's not rewarded. Sometimes because they have to as a concession, they sort of pretend to reward it. Like, oh, it's like when Blitz eSports found out that I'd published a video saying that I'd discovered that they actually were funded by Riot initially, and therefore they obviously weren't independent and they'd never declared it. So they had a conflict of interest. Their version of mea culpa was to say, special thanks to Thorin for reminding us to, something like that. Fuck off. You didn't do any of that. I made you do it. You're just walking it back now. So the thing that would depress me is I know what the newer people are like, where they come into the scene and when they see all this shit from everyone, the orgs, the players, the fucking fans, they will start to think, oh, maybe they've got a point. Maybe I went too far. I'll give you an example. When I forget who it was, went at DK, not the most recent one over the Ents thing. There was another one where someone went at DK. Oh, it was Tarek. When Tarek was like, you should have reached out to me. Yeah. And then DK didn't fully, but he sort of walked it back a bit like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right in that sense. It's like, I don't want someone in that scenario who's going to just give the ground to the player who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I want someone who's going to go, no, CEO or best player in the world. In this scenario, it's not about how good you are at business or fucking shooting heads. You are a cunt. You are lying, and I'm going to point out that you are a liar. You're not going to bully me publicly. There's not many people who'll stand up to that. I know, because it fucking grinds you down, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, look, it's not even just that it grinds me down because like I'm used to that. It's the fact that nothing changes.
Yes.
It's the fact nothing changes.
Oh, dude, that even happened. We're going to probably get to it in this episode. That even happened with the Ents thing again. The same thing. They come out, you're lying. The fans, it doesn't get them right every time. It's just, I'm stuck in Groundhog Day here. Except I don't have the ability to learn the fucking piano and I don't know, like make an ice sculpture or whatever. Why am I referencing a movie from 1993 again?
He's done it again.
It's 93. Always 93. I'm like fucking 93 till infinity, that sick rap song. But not as good. And I just referenced stuff from it.
Yeah. But if you can go look up this report anyway, and this is about the Nox Fire League, which was done by a journalist who, again, full disclosure, he's a mod on my Discord.
I thought you were going to say he's a moron. Like, fucking up full disclosure. He is a moron.
No.
And I hate him.
I mean, that might also be
and it will be my last article for VP Sports.
But a journalist called Brendan Pacino, he's a mod. You'll see him in the
believable sock puppet account.
Yes, he's Super Bren or something. Anyway, he's done a couple of reports now, and I was digging into this, and he was digging into this at the same time, so I just like let him do it. But the bottom line is, it was about this thing called the Nox Fire League, which this was a league with a $70,000 prize pool. Online, it's got some decent teams in, like, a Vanguard, Windigo, 3D Max, teams like this. And admins were colluding with teams to fix games, like ghosting during games, like where people were going and stuff. All the evidence of all the betting patterns are there. And again, I'm looking at some of the names that are allegedly involved in this match fixing. It's like, motherfuckers, didn't we nail you like 2 years ago? Didn't we nail you 3 years ago? Still around, still fixing games. And just imagine, like, this is the idea brought to fruition of that other match fixers and people had. The Inner Circle.cz, they talked about funding a league where all the games were rigged to benefit them. Stormberg, who invested not just in the gambling scene, but also funded teams, one of which is a very notable team. They took money from a known match fixer. He wanted, his dream was to run tournaments where all the games were rigged, like WWE, and only him and a select few bettors would know in advance. Well, Nox Fire have managed to basically create that environment. This is no different to what was going on in StarCraft, where players would have to connect to, or rather, people who were involved in the betting syndicate could connect to watch the game so they could make live in-game bets, ahead of time because of the delay and the broadcast delay. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Barely a ripple was made, by the way, about this story. It didn't make the front page of the CSGO subreddit. It got net 14 upvotes. A league dedicated to match fixing, with admins involved in it, with a $70,000 prize pool featuring teams that were at the last major.
Yeah,
didn't even get to the front page.
I'll contrast
Meanwhile, that photo of Pasha putting down a trophy, six threads about that. You guys are fucking scum morons. You deserve to sit in the pond of shit. And I'm not fucking sifting it out no more. And woe betide anyone that does. Your priorities are out of whack. Your priorities are out of whack. You're a fucking idiots. You will kill your own scene. I won't be around to see it. Fuck you.
I'll give you another example as well. So you might think to yourself, Well, maybe they're just not interested in that. Normally, people love drama. Like, God forbid someone who happens to be a woman dares say anything about female Counter-Strike. That thread's instantly 500 comments of the same shit we've seen 1,000 times. So you love those threads. When it's an actual thread of something really fucked up that we can all agree is insane, that's not interesting.
How did the Enzo 5-power story not make a Reddit thread at all, as far as I can tell? People, this is right. You have on the front page results discussion from the WESG, not one thread about a potentially fixed game from that tournament. Nobody, it's what I mean. In an ideal world, you want to know what's true and what no TO will tell you and what I will tell you now. In an ideal world, do you know what the TOs would like? They'd love it if you would all just lie down and accept match fixing as the norm.
Of course.
Imagine if we had a fully scripted esports scene. Every facet of it controlled. This team dominates. This team dominates.
When this was WWE.
Yeah,
we would. I guarantee we could triple the
money we would make. The money we would make. Right, off WWE style tournaments where everything was fake and contrived, which remember all the incels over at Bagsugs believe is real anyway.
They're gonna think this is you sort of revealing the method of something. Yeah, look, he's seeding us with what's really going on. Finally,
Shield Richard Lewis finally breaks the shield.
He presented it all as satire.
Yeah. The reality is everybody in esports would love that. Everybody in esports would love that. It's actually quite tricky and upsetting when we have this thing called competitive integrity. It gets in the way of making money, right?
Mate, as much as I love Ents, the second they made the final, I was like, now the final, the major shit. Listen, this is what I wanted in that semi-final. Ents to do everything they did, but Simple win that 1v4. Na'Vi wins the game. Na'Vi plays the rematch of the final. Then we got a real final. If I had a choice, what's mad is I would choose to rig the... not literally, obviously. Don't clip this, you fucking But I'm just saying, obviously, the storyline's 1,000 times better. I know everyone would be like, but it's an under. Yeah, we all knew Ents was going to get their shit pushed in.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, say, you talk about Groundhog Day. I feel like I'm in it. The companies and the groups that have tried to address this are. I mean, again, let me tell you another story.
Yeah, I love the way though. Here's the thing. I know you know the guy, so I'm just going to be an arsehole. I don't know him, so I am speculating. But I actually do think I've seen a little bit about the guy who set up that eSports Integrity Coalition. And my only problem with it is this, Richard, is that he does seem very earnest and he seems like he really believes in it. I totally buy that, right? But because he has to go to events and be like, can I please have some information and look into this? It just reminds me of that thing from fucking Team America World Police where he's going handbrakes, you're breaking my balls. And he's just going, yep, nothing here. It's unfortunately, that's what's going to happen if we can't have journalists do it, isn't it?
Right. Oh God, man, the stories I could tell you. I'll tell you one, because I'm rapidly beyond giving a fuck about any of this nonsense. This interconnecting, political bullshit.
Just the incestuous nature of the world.
No, but imagine caring more about a political stance and a competitor maybe getting slightly ahead of you than comparing about competitive integrity and the overall health of the game. So there was a big league, let's say, one that isn't ESL, and ESIC went and met with them and said, "Listen, we really need you on board. You represent all of the this huge component of the CS calendar." And they point blank refused to do it because of the way that it was funded. And the way that it was funded, and nobody makes any bones about this, is that it was part of the MTG money. Yes, the Esports Integrity Coalition isn't a neutral body in the sense that it was funded by MTG. Now,
right, so they start as a competitor sending people over to fuck them up.
So now, trust me, I get that it's not ideal. It's like having the Players Association over in the LCS.
It's like when they were saying
by Riot Games.
When obviously they set up WISA and they were like, and good news, even if you're not in WISA, we will arbitrate. It's like, why the fuck would if I'm Cloud9 would I have you arbitrate my shit when you're in rival teams and company?
Now, the point is, if you look at how it's funded and how it's run, There is zero input. I know this. I spoke at their annual general meeting. I gave a speech there. I do take this shit seriously, and I live my shit. I don't just sign up to something and then step back and go, "Hey, that's me done." Right?
I wouldn't use that catchphrase. Like, I know what you meant by it, but it didn't come off well.
About drugs?
I live my shit.
I do live.
It just sound. I don't know. I just went a weird place on that one. It sounds like what someone says when they just shit themselves in a fucking cubicle somewhere. Like,
well, I haven't done that for a while.
My shit.
I haven't done that. But the point
don't
is, like,
look at me.
I actually apply and live the principles that I espouse,
yes.
right? Not a lot
okay,
of people,
that's better. Yes,
not a lot of people do that, and so
obviously Vince lives his shit as well.
Oh yeah, he loves that shit. But I looked into how it was funded and how much input like MTG have. It's absolute zero. It was just something they wanted to get off the ground, like a little startup, just to have it there. Because obviously, while it would benefit them, the point is if it then did take into the scene, it's a net benefit. They understood that where we were headed with esports betting, we were going to need somebody that had connections to big gambling companies and could look into non-skins betting transactions and be in communication with them. Brother, there is a top tier esports organization where the owner has placed bets on his own team and doesn't think there's any problem with this whatsoever. Right?
Probably cash. One of the same owners calling out fucking journalists like, you're all liars.
Right?
A bit like when I get called out by the people I know in 23 games and they're calling me out for jokes.
No, I'm not saying anyone would ever do this, but imagine that level of influence you have where you control a player's destiny, right? And you're able to say, hey, I've got $1,000 riding on this game.
Contract negotiations coming up in a month. I mean, you'd like it to go smoothly, wouldn't you? I'm not telling you what to do, but if you were to lose this game, I wouldn't blame you. Quite frankly, if anything, I'd say fair play.
And ESIC have tried to investigate this, and again, it's all entangled. It's all bullshit. So anyway, back to this league story. The league said that they wouldn't have like ESL spies anywhere near them. So you basically choose to not even cooperate with people that are trying to fix a problem that will destroy your game, destroy your league, destroy everything everyone's built because you're worried that maybe some information might get cross-transferred to a competitor of yours. That's where people's priorities are right now. And they're the people that control the leagues and the ladders, that make up our scene, and nobody gives a fuck. It's line your pockets. That's all it is. It's line your pockets. That's all, like, how many more people are we going to let get away with just treating esports like a fucking a conduit to
it's like a pump and dump or some shit.
Yeah. Like penny stocks, man. Like, I see that fucking Alexis Ohanian prick, like, boasting about how he's a co-owner of Cloud9 because he went in on a round of VC.
Isn't that mental?
Do you know how much Reddit has harmed the fabric of esports? Do you know how fucked up it is? And you're gonna
also, how dumb is this guy? Why would you tell people? You remember, esports subreddits, including the League of Legends and Global Offensive one, are enormous. They make up a lot of Reddit traffic that they don't want to lose. I know, as the owner of Reddit, a thing that bans and suspends and removes comments, I'll just mention that I'm actually a part owner of one of the teams that has the most fans. So don't worry, no conflict of interest there as we proceed to ban people who maybe have other flares and make other comments.
I wouldn't worry about it anyway because they're selling to Tencent. And what could fucking go wrong with that? What could go wrong with Tencent having influence over a Western forum? The biggest when it comes to esports and gaming that we have on the internet. What could go wrong there? And again, Google all of this. It's all happening. Again, no one gives a fuck. I got to stop giving a fuck. My blood pressure's through the fucking roof. I'm just bored of it. I just can't do it anymore. I'll be like everyone else. Thanks. Send me my check while I fucking talk endlessly about the esports evangelical, and let's wait for the bubble to pop.
Yeah, what Richard didn't say is the actual new show we're working on is the 10-cent underdog hour, where we pick out all the best games that might go the other way.
No, honestly, I'm so fucking bored of it. Like, it's just so fucking pathetic, isn't it? That like all you care about is like, here's some money. But like we'll turn a blind eye to match fixing. We won't work with people who are trying to stop match fixing. And now, lo and behold, the entire tier 2, tier 3 fabric of Counter-Strike is riddled once again with match fixing, to the point where the WESG can have it across multiple games. No one on Reddit cares. I mean, imagine that. Imagine how much we're going to hear about Chinese match fixing once Tencent gets their tenterhooks into Reddit, by the way. You guys don't even upvote the threads. You won't be allowed to make the threads. Keyword search, Chinese, match fixing, corruption, collusion, all these words will be banned. Threads just won't show up. They'll be shadow banned, and you'll be scratching your heads wondering why. You signed up for this. This is what you want, because all you give a fuck is the fireworks display. I love Team Face. I have a logo next to my name. I am fan, yes? Fuck you, like, you morons, man. Your building's on fire, and they're telling you to get to the exit, and you want to finish watching the TV show. Fuck you. I'm so bored.
I'll rock up when I get my check and be like, but Richard, we keep the players comfortable, and if a player and a team loses, we have a conversation. I just love that voice so much. I just love that part so much of that fucking podcast. It was too good.
Yeah. Anyway,
whatever I was referring to there.
Right, now back to the show tunes, guys. Hey, let's talk about the games. Let's talk about the meaningful results. Yay! Let's talk about the fucking things that really matter. None of this other shit. Push that away. It's fine. There's collusion in the Overwatch League.
Memory
it's
hole,
fine. Memory hole, all of this. It's fine. Every league is corrupt in some capacity. It's just a big firework display.
The previous question you heard.
Exactly. Strike that from the record.
They just want you to buy the shit jerseys and pump the money into the thing and appease the venture capitalists, and then we're gonna have to listen to Mark Cuban again talk about eSports problems like he fucking knows a single solitary thing about it beyond signing a check. It's go back to bed. It's fine. This is fine. So let's talk about the results. We get to the semi-finals of WESG. Slight problem in the tournament format, I would say, because the result, I mean, if you was ever any doubt, by the way, that players just go to this event to get a paycheck, you only have to look at the semi-finals that have been thrown up. And that is that it's going to be Fnatic versus AGO and Windigo versus G2. Now,
and by the way, a note to make about this, yes, there have been some upsets. There have even been some upsets in the bracket, but that alone isn't why that bracket's so fucked up. The groups are insane. There are some groups with 3 or 4 no-name teams in. Then there are groups where, look at the one, Valiance, Optic, Denial were all in the same group.
You mean to say that in a Chinese tournament, right?
I didn't notice none of the Chinese teams got into the really tough groups.
You mean to say in a Chinese tournament, none of the Chinese teams ended up in the groups of death and were sort of evenly spaced out? Crazy. You mean to say there's been no official statement on Pinnacle cancelling bets on a game involving 2 Chinese no, weird, isn't it? Weird how it works. It's almost like it's the most corrupt fucking country or so. I don't know. What do I know? Fine.
Strike all that from the record.
Let's just do business there, though, eh? They got all that money, mate. They got all that money.
So that's the problem.
I'm on board. Let me just say, by the way, this podcast is now sponsored by Tencent. What are the big Chinese companies have we got? What's the other one? Alibaba.
They're the ones behind WSG,
Yeah, Alibaba. Who else? I'll take all your money and light everyone's face. Seems to be the rigor now in esports. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, it's weird. Weird how none of those Chinese teams end up in a group of death. Just that look of the draw again. Just that look of the draw. But anyway, that isn't even the point, because once we did whittle down some of the teams, which of course aren't even teams, like Team Ukraine with Starix on and stuff like this, and
not Russia. Even good players or anything.
Yeah, no, it's not even.
If even fucking. I mean, who else is on Team Ukraine? Let's have a look, because I know it was a fucking terrible lineup, right? If even Zeus can't be asked to go and get a bunch of free money, you told him might have some integrity problems or prestige issues, because as far as he can tell, he only cares about money.
I think as well, I just want to add, I think I was invited to this tournament.
Reasonable.
I didn't even reply on Skype. It's like, don't waste your breath. Never go in never going to the country, never doing anything out there. I've had so many friends invite me out. Hey, we know this big billionaire. You'll be living the dream. Oh, brilliant. I can't think of why I'd have some sort of moral objection to that. I can't think why I would have a problem. You know, but you'd be on a yacht drinking cocktails. Yeah. So, you know, you won't even notice the starving people down the street. It's fine. This is all good.
I had a similar problem. I told them, listen, guys, there's a line I won't cross. It's double my day rate or I'm not coming. And they wouldn't pay, so fuck them. That's not even actually. That would be a great joke if it wasn't a real story.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is actually just a real story.
It is. It actually is. When they came back, like, "No, we'll pay the normal day," I was like, "Fuck you."
No, listen.
You know what? I'll never work with people like you.
Yeah, I have a moral code, sir. Double the day rate.
You're willing to pay your entire normal rate. Get the fuck out of my face.
Exactly. Look, you're trying to buy me off for that amount.
Yeah, exactly. We all know you are the fucking state police who you only arrest people if they make a bribe that is derisory.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
You have no objection to bribery. It's just that the bribes are small. How dare they? How dare they? Actually, how dare they think you'd be so cheap? So anyway, let's talk about these results. There's been some upsets, but the biggest one, of course, is MIBR were poised. I mean, I would have said you've got a road to the fucking final here. Like,
win the event, if anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, suppose on current world rankings, you would certainly expect that to be the case. Somehow, the run that they had, the teams that they were playing, like I think they played Viva Algeria in the round prior, and then they get drawn with Windigo, Bulgarian superstar team featuring some names you might have heard of. Windigo, yeah, very much so, and Windigo banged them out 2-1. This is like the biggest lineup set of 2019, like immediately right out of the bat. There's just no way this should be happening at all.
I just thought I'd just reference this because I am that arsehole who brings things up in a very petty manner, even though you should probably just let it go. Remember in 2018 when there was E-League Boston Major and MIBR, SK Gaming at the time, couldn't use bolts. They were forced to play with Phelps, you remember, and he'd already left the team. He was like inactive. And what they said, even though for that tournament they had a chance to win it, they made the semi-finals, if you remember, played Cloud9. Yeah. They famously said, majors don't really mean that much to us anymore. Plus, this isn't even our real team. And they said, so we're not going to practice with Phelps. We're just going to practice with bolts because we'd rather win WESG. Now, the irony of them blowing 2 WESGs in a row and even doing this one with Phelps in the lineup is not lost upon me.
Well, look, let me tell you as well, right? So the result here is crazy. Like the manner in which they lost, they gave up a map 16-8. Right, like
and that was one of their maps that they've been playing recently. Remember, they were claiming that was a map they were doing pretty well on.
Yeah, it was Dust 2. So fine. Then they have Train, so they bounce back in the 16-8. But then it's Overpass, right? Now I want you to think about the Overpass pick that we saw from them against Astralis and how good that game was and how close it was and how Astralis could have very realistically lost that game. How in the world do Windigo beat MIBR? How? Like, it is mental. I know they play a lot of Overpass historically. Guys,
I even think these maps, just the maps alone, that should be game for MIBR. And then you add in the skill difference, experience. Oh, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
So it is a crazy upset that puts MIBR 5th to 8th at this tournament, which is still probably decent money.
I think it's 10K.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whatever. 10K holiday out there. But I mean, this was just. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. I like to say at this point, like, I don't understand what this tournament really brings to the table. People commit to it, drop out at the last minute. People go. It's not real teams, but some teams are real teams. It's just. And then
it's just where Kenny S goes every year to bizarrely pick up a fucking check or something, isn't it?
I know.
How many times this cunt made it deeper this one tournament? Him and Fnatic. It's like fucking hell. Kenny S and Crims are just like, I don't really talk about, Richard. I love the WSG and consider it a top-tier organization.
Now, let me tell you as well, this puts MIBR on level footing with a team called Absolute. Now, you know I like Asian Counter-Strike. You know I love it. You know I love it for all its fiction and all its bullshit. I've been saying for years, I want Korean teams, Japanese teams. I want all that shit going on, all those country rivalries and everything else. So Absolute finished 5th to 8th. This Japanese team, right? Check out this player called Bars, by the way. He's unbelievable. He's my new favorite player because he claims to be 22. He's like that player from Lazio, mate.
I still can't believe that turned out to be real, though. That's the worst. That's the most surreal thing I've ever heard, that turned out to be real, that he was actually like that age.
He looks like a fucking 45-year-old man with a mortgage and 3 kids. He's my new favourite player, this guy.
Bearing in mind, this team is totally
22,
unknown
mate.
And has only played something mental, like fucking 30 maps on LAN or something less than that. I feel like there might be a weekend at Bernie's scenario going on here. They qualified with the real team. And unfortunately, your boy Barca, it just, tragic accident happened with him. And so the manager's gone, well, no good wasting this money. No good crying over spilled Barca. Yep, I'm 20 years old. Got a fucking girdle on under his thing.
Girdles are great, by the way. They really help. But it's everyone else. Is like they're all older than him on the team.
Mate, that writer guy looks like you've taken like a Grand Theft Auto character. You've like custom designed the face to look all sick with like all the fucking the beard is just sick. The Asian style hair, it's fucking baller, isn't he?
Yeah. So MIBR and Absolute, the new team that I'm going to obsess over. It was Tyloo. Going to move away from Tyloo now. Absolute are my new best friends. But also this sort of means, with the context of what happened with MIBR dropping out, the only other real team that's in this, and sorry, no disrespect to the likes of AGO and Windigo, who are semi-finalists here, is Fnatic and G2. And I don't know, man. If there's a terrifying outcome if G2 win.
The whole tournament, I know. Because here's the thing. Listen, mate. For everyone who loses at the tournament, they've got the glasses on. They can see it was all bullshit. I was only trying to get the money anyway. I don't respect it as a tournament. Yeah. I'm not kidding you. If they win this tournament, they're going to mind fuck themselves that it meant something. They're going to say, I won $500,000. They're going to think that means something.
Yeah. Oh, of course. And more importantly, and again, love Carlos, love him a bit, great guy. Carlos is going to come out and he's going to say, see, this is why you trust in the system.
There we go.
It's going to be awful. It's going to be, because they're there with Amanek right now. So it is their new lineup. It's not like the throwback atavistic lineup having a last hurrah. It's like it is actually their lineup moving forward. And realistically, even G2 should be able to beat Windigo. I mean, I don't know how MIBR have done it. So they should be in the final.
They should.
And then Fnatic, I mean, again, I don't know how AGO have made it this far, honestly. I would have probably put Valiance to beat AGO. I actually like watching Valiance. That's the one with Hunter, Nico's cousin. But AGO are in the semis as well. I mean, Fnatic should fucking dominate that. I don't think Fnatic have lost a map in the playoffs. So, a Fnatic G2 final. Both of those teams were so poor at the major.
I forgot to tell you because I saw it on Instagram. Body is actually there. He is actually playing. They didn't take
Amanek. They didn't take Amanek? All right. Yeah. I thought they did. I mean, that makes it even more mental.
Well, that's the mad thing if they win it, isn't it? That would be the ultimate way to make this G2 era the dumbest shit ever. It's like you actually do win the 500k with the lineup.
They're actually there with Body. They're actually there with Body.
He's still there. I'm sure he enjoys it, by the way, the fact that he's at a tournament that he's being kicked from the team already. I'm sure that fucking camaraderie is brilliant when they're all getting food.
I don't know what's shaking my faith in esports more. Like the Rife match fixing. Or the fact that Body might win a $500,000 prize.
That was like when Sixer did it. Remember when Sixer did it with Envious? He won the reverse WSG.
Bad. Oh God, I can't.
All I'm going to say is this, guys. Sixer has won one tournament where he won like 700k. Cold Zero. You like them stats, don't you, motherfuckers? How you like that?
That's
Whatever,
so
anyway.
bad. That's so bad. So anyway, we're on course for a Fnatic G2 final, I'd say, but we'll actually talk about the end of the tournament once we get there. Just thought it was worth talking about MIBR because for all the forward stride, and listen, I'm not going to bang on them too much. I'll talk about why, as we said, go into the next point, which is just, a meaningless tournament by all accounts.
Just a bit of fun for people who
care.
care.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whatever.
Oh, by the way, one thing I have to reference, though, because I saw it on Reddit, this was hilarious, is, as you'd expect, events like that are famous for, like, the producers are all Chinese. So it's like a nightmare for the, like, British, English, I don't know why I said British, the English streamcast to sync up, right? And so there was a bunch of clips where, fair play to Stunner, mate. In some senses, he just doesn't give a fuck. Because when they would have all these problems where the game just wasn't on the stream and it was just like a fill screen, he was just casting as though it was like sick crowd. Oh my God, he's coming in and you won't believe this. Like, he was doing a good job with it. He was fucking nailing it.
Oh yeah.
Might not be able to get out of China at this point in time, but fair play.
Yeah, if you like Stunner, send your thoughts.
It was always going to end that way somehow for him. So he's probably just accepted his fate.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. I was just gonna make a quick point about fucking again morons. I saw a thread because NRG with Tarek lost to Complexity. They lost 2-0 in sort of Tarek's debut.
Man, I can't imagine that in an online match very early into a lineup, people would overreact hyperbolically one way or another about a roster move. Is that what's going to come up here?
Yes, because it is unbelievable to me. This is in ECS, so we're at the online. It's still the online component, and Complexity won 2-0 against a new team with their first outing. And I didn't realize Complexity fans were insufferable. I didn't realize. I always thought they were like. I always thought they were. Think about it. To be a Complexity fan, you got to be legit. You got to be a real fan.
Of course.
So maybe it's just because they've been success starved lately. But that thread is an absolute fucking car crash. Like, I have never seen so much retconning of reality. It's like people trying to say Brie Larson and Captain Marvel's good. Timestamp that, Sam. I can't be bothered with the feminists coming after me.
So we live in this world now where that's timestamp.
Yeah, that has to be. Yeah, whatever.
And memory hole that.
Yeah, memory hole that. Yeah. It's unbelievable, like some of the comments in there, and I urge people to do it. Like, people are like, you're all sleeping on Complexity. Like, I mean, okay. Who's laughing now, Tarek? You could have been on this Complexity side. Yeah, they'd be fucking making less money and have to play with fucking Ricky, probably. So,
the shite you read on the internet is unreal, isn't it? Mate,
mental.
I've got a great example. So since I was doing research for this simple article I just wrote, I was looking up, like I looked up in my own timeline, like, what tweets have I ever made about Simple? Did I ever say anything like that was like timely or something? Or did I ever make a point that, I might want to use in this article? And I found a tweet, Richard, that is the most fucking insane tweet in context you might ever read about Counter-Strike, not like some separate stuff. This is the tweet, time-stamped on, I think it was actually time-stamped like December 2017. Think about that. Or it was 2016, one of the two, right?
Yeah.
So not that long before Simple's gone absolute god mode, and he already was very, very good back then. And cause in my tweet I say, like, he could be the best player ever eventually. Some guy responds and goes like, "You are always saying anytime he has a good game that he is the best, but most of the time he is having a bad game." It's like, when you use quote statements like that stats exist. Like, you could just pull up the stats. You could get fucking your Jamie to pull that up. You could just have a look, couldn't you? Yeah. Obviously, like, you have taken literally probably the best stats player to ever play in the history of CSGO. And your logic is, actually, statistically, never looked into this, he mostly has bad games. It's like, why is this my life?
But anyway, go look at that.
Yeah, I think I just found a new one, Dunk. Look at the one I linked. This is an article you wrote ages ago for Gamers about how he can be the best, and everyone's like, "Go home, you're drunk, next level fanboy."
Reasonable.
you know, that's a pretty sweet one, I would say. Vindication.
Not bad.
But anyway, if anybody wants to fucking drive themselves up the wall, go have a look at that fucking go have a look at that thread. But anyway, let's start talking about some real shit as we slide down to the end of the show and decide what we're going to timestamp from this car crash episode. Let's talk about what's been going on over at Mouse Sports. Lots of stories coming out about that one. This will lead us nicely to the tale of Sunny, a Finnish player who was at one point considered not the best on Mouse Sports, but you know,
some people thought towards the end he was the best. I know, like Sponge, for example, that was one he was going pretty hard on.
Yeah, I mean, he did drop off. I mean, like, he's been absent, I'd say, the past 9 months or so. I don't think he's been particularly good for a while, but obviously we can probably start to intimate and figure out why. So, wholesale changes at Mouse Sports. Let's focus on Sunny first. Basically, they've got a new CEO over there. It looks like they're cutting out large parts of the team and putting them into free agency, which, by the way, if you think free agency means what you think it means, it doesn't mean that. Free agency means come and buy our players. That seems to be the misnomer in esports. There's nothing free about it. In fact, they're not in free agency. They are still contracted to the organization, and there will still be a buyout because their contracts haven't lapsed or expired yet. So, and from my understanding with the Mouse Sports contract, there is no set buyouts. I think I've been told. So they don't have a set amount they can be bought out for. It's very much like that G2 situation we saw with MBK and all that. And it's like people want to buy him, but we're going to demand pretty large figures. So good luck with that. So basically, it's almost like you have to get into the good graces of the organization just to fucking leave. Like, crazy. But anyway, let's talk about Sunny. So initially he was linked with Cloud9. Then, of course, he was linked with
Ents.
Ents. The Ents fantasy move was talked about a long, long time ago. Bizarrely, now it looks to be coming into fruition at a time when I would say it would be completely unjustified off the back of a great major run. So very.
It's just bizarre. The problem is, like, when you look longer term, you have to figure Sunny's going to become really good again. So if you're someone like Ents, remember, you couldn't get him before for your Ents. Now is the only time you can get him because your stock's risen. That's the reason why I feel like that move might happen. Although, obviously, classic instance, CEO of Ents coming out. We've got to stop these.
So let's talk about. Let's talk about what I got told behind the scenes. So first of all, basically, there were talks with Cloud9. Cloud9 were obviously looking for another player, someone that can add a bit more firepower. They've shown that they're quite happy to import European players. They're quite happy to spend the right amount of money. But Cloud9, even with all their VC investment, they're never going to be the type of organization that's going to break the bank to get one player. And quite clearly, a lot of these players on these organizations have these six-figure buyouts, even though the orgs don't want them. And it's like, I've never seen so many organizations cut off their nose to spite their face than I have in the past, like, 18 months in Counter-Strike. Where it's like, no, we will hold on to our players and see out their contract. Okay, well, now you get nothing for them. Yes, but this will harm the player's career. It will teach them about loyalty, but you've replaced them. What is the lesson here? What are we?
There was a lesson about loyalty there. They just misread it.
Yeah, but what are we talking about here? You know, and I did an interview with Sir Scoots over at Deserter where he was talking about the player association and how one of the big problems they've got is these contracts where you need to, you know, the players are signing contracts that are too long and don't have specific clauses. So sometimes it doesn't benefit the org because they got to pay him a full salary and keep him around. And sometimes it doesn't benefit the player because they get a reduced salary and huge buyouts. So we still haven't hit the sweet spot with contracts yet. But anyway, so the Cloud9 talks did happen and then fell through, and now in reports by DK, basically they say that his report says that he's in talks with Ents, which completely makes sense. Obviously, there's a limited amount of teams that can sort of pick up Sunny, would have the money to do so. Ents definitely have that, would have the fringe benefits to Sunny of him not having to live abroad, obviously Ents are a Finnish organisation.
And he was already on Ents years and years ago when it began.
And he
obviously has the connections to everyone, doesn't he?
And he has tenure with the organisation. In fact, he was a breakout player from the Ents project. So it's kind of like their golden child coming home. Everything about it makes sense from a theory crafting perspective. I don't think DK's the only journalist that's talked about it. But of course, lo and behold, I guess because they're new to the game, the Ents CEO comes out and says that it's not true. And I just don't understand. Again, I will give you the lesson that all CEOs need to learn. Saying nothing is an option.
Sometimes the best option.
You don't have to lie. You don't have to lie. So he says there seems to be a need to stop rumors spreading around. Ents is not in negotiations with anybody with regards to play transactions. We're 100% confident on our history-making CS:GO lineup going forward. I'll go one further here, and just add that you would be actually negligent, Mika Kusi Stowe. You would actually be negligent if you didn't stick your head around the corner and talk to a player like Sonny. You would actually be doing your team, your org, your brand a huge disservice. Because
Sure.
what if, all of us after the Cloud9 fell through, it was we'll rinse Cloud9 for money, but we won't rinse Ents. We'll be willing to take a reduced fee because we don't believe they have the means, and we definitely want to get the players off the books and off the salary. So why wouldn't you have that conversation? Let's not pretend that just because you made the final of a major, there couldn't potentially be room for improvement. Now, personally, if it was me, I would see where this can go. I would see if, guys like X7 can maintain that level of form that they brought to the major. And, I think that I think it would be unfair if he was cut for Sonny on the basis of their two recent forms and recent story. But that being said, if I was
you've got to at least look into it. Yes,
I would have to explore the possibility. Yeah, I would have to.
That's actually the problem I have with that whole move. Is like, listen, especially before the major, I definitely would have made this change and brought him in. Just as a gamble, it could make you a top team. And I still think, since in theory he will be the best Finnish player again at some point in time, it's just unfortunate for the others, including an X7 or whoever gets kicked. That it does suck that you could potentially get kicked after your best ever result. I agree, that sucks. Problem is, like we're saying, the business reality is like intruding on the game reality parks. I agree. What I want to do now is like what Cloud9 did after their major win. You give them a few more lands. If they fuck it up then, right, now you make the move. That makes sense to me. And I'll just say, by the way, since I know that a lot of investigative journalists just get shit all the time from these people, and I know that no one's going to stand up for it, and I know that no fucking player who even themselves has heard the rumours is going to dare come out and do it, because they love to come out, Richard, have you noticed that? When it's to attack me or to attack someone else, they love to come out and confirm that they heard something or that I don't know something. They never come forward and help their mates who are getting fucked over or anyone else in the scene. So I'll just say this. If you're a CEO or a team owner and you come out and say something like that I know to be a lie, I'm coming straight in your face. I'm gonna be all up in your teeth like a fucking dentist. I was gonna say.
Let you rephrase that. That's a 50s reference technically. But if you're gonna call me out for living my shit, I'm gonna come in your face. Is probably a bad. I do want to just point that out.
Well, in that case, it wouldn't be consensual, but I mean metaphorically.
Yeah. Well, or you will just timestamp it. I think we'll just leave ejaculating in people's faces.
The sentiment was there.
No, definitely wasn't.
Listen, if you're a CEO, don't say bad stuff or I might get mad at you.
Yeah, there you go. Much better. Yeah, much better.
Not mad at your dick. No, I'm not going to get mad at your dick. Your dick won't be involved. Timestamp that as well.
Yeah, excellent.
Just scrub the whole front if you could.
So, with Sonny and Stiko and Oscar...
by the way, the most cynical move we could ever do is we make a special Patreon tier. It's like $200 a month, but Sam makes a separate version of the VOD where he removes all stuff about social media, all edgy jokes. It's like a 15-minute podcast just about Counter-Strike results.
You're the only one who gets timestamps as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you get timestamps.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like some sort of nude calendar. I'm glad we didn't agree to that. That's not anything that anybody wants, I don't think. Anyway, so you've now got Sonny and Stiko who are inactive. Interestingly enough, Oscar isn't listed as being inactive. He's saying he is a free agent and that he has now officially.
They said on the
Mouse
Sports News that Oscar is released, but Sonny's still under contract. So what's bizarre about that is they're basically signaling like they don't even fucking care about you buying Oscar, which is kind of a weird angle. But maybe they just rewarding him or something, you know.
I don't know if it's to do with the contract, but again, my understanding is they all signed contracts at the same time. So, speculation, right?
I'm almost sure you shouldn't be legally allowed to say you've released someone from his contract if he is still under contract. Surely,
yeah. Well, no. So what I was going to say is, I think speculation. I think they've just been like, listen, right? Oscar will not go to America. This has been established.
Yes, very limited options for sure.
Yeah. So again, a team like Cloud9, who I imagine would be like, yeah, we could do something with that. Yeah, I mean, like, get automatic back on rifles, bring Oscar in. This is something that could be done. If they were in the bidding for Sonny, they're definitely in the bidding for Oscar. But Oscar will not go to America. He's very connected to his family, his pet birds. All this stuff that comes out.
Was he fucking Tyson or something in the young days?
Ace Ventura, mate. Just
look at the picture. Look at my fucking people, man.
Mate, have you ever watched this fucking stream? It's like watching a fucking Disney princess play fucking Counter-Strike. It's like fucking birds just flying on his finger, and he's like, it's like ridiculous. Like, it's fucking mental. Anyway.
Well, two can play at that game.
Good toucan joke.
I
picked up on it. Yeah, time stop. That's terrible. That's like that's a dad joke from nowhere.
Don't know that in, unfortunately. We cut so much else.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Shit, toucan jokes.
But anyway, so I honestly think this is just the fact that the buying potential, the potential to make money on Oscar for Mouse, and again, remember this is my own speculation, but the buying potential for Oscar is so reduced, there really isn't any point on keeping him on the books.
I believe
because who are you going to sell him to?
The rumor even is he might just end up going back to some fucking team from his region. Yeah, so obviously they can't buy him out for anything.
Yeah, I've heard that basically like he's going to go back to like what were they called, Necro Razors or one of those brands.
Great name, by the way. Fucking
what are they? A fucking cult of Satanists. Necro
That's brilliant, isn't it? That's like that does sound like some fucking Games Workshop shit, doesn't it? The Necro Rangers
reanimating corpses from the dead.
Necro Razors is one I think that he played on in the past. Whatever. The point is, like, I think they're just letting him go. Now, the person I really feel sorry for here in all of this is Stico. He just re-signed.
Dead now, of course.
I know.
Shreds.
Yeah.
What's the point? This motherfucker can't catch a break, can he?
Yeah, no,
it's like he did the cursed monkey ball scenario. I just want to be a pro at any cost. No, wait, that shit. I should have thought of it. No,
it's unbelievable. It's like literally like he comes back with all these protestations about, listen, we fucked up with the snacks purchase. We definitely have gone backwards without you. Let's get you back in the team. We now appreciate all the work you do. Think about how every player who did an interview who got to talk about Stico was going, oh, he does all this sick work. Like, people don't understand. Think about that twit longer where the community even were like, yeah, what a fucking genius this guy is. He gets back to Mouse Sports. It looks like it's all. What did they give him? Like 5 days or something? It feels like it was. Like fucking Clough at Leeds or something. He was just in there, and then he was out. He was gone and back on the bench.
You could make an amazing movie like that movie, The Damned United, which is a fucking banger, by the way, just about Stico going to Mouse. Because in that movie, the whole thing is when he walks in there, like to Leeds, he thinks they're going to all love him, and they're all just sort of like sabotaging everything he does. I bet it was like that from in fucking Mouse Sports, wasn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it's just mental. And the thing is, what do we know about the people who are coming in, which we're going to get to now, right? There's a certain in-game leader called Carrigan. And what does Carrigan always want in his teams? Yeah, what does he always want in his teams? He always wants the guy who does all the donkey work and the underappreciated support play. He always wants that in his team because he realizes the benefit of that, and he knows that will get mileage out of those players. Think about when at FaZe, he immediately brought back Kiyashima because he knew this is the guy who can do it. Think about how he developed guys like Zipnix to do that specific role. This is what Carrigan once. Carrigan doesn't get to work with Steeko. Not unless they can't sell Steeko. Right? There's a chance he might come back if Frozen doesn't make it. But what you're left with here is the unenviable position Carrigan found himself in at FaZe, which is, well, if we need a support player, it's going to have to be yours truly. And that historically hasn't been optimal, let's put it that way. So I definitely feel sorry for Steeko. I saw like some news where it was like, Steeko will be standing in for team No Chance. That's Makalela's team.
How surreal is this fucking life?
No, I know, right? Let me tell you.
I never had a chance before I even got here. Like, fucking hell, come on.
Do you know who's on this team No Chance?
I know Makalela's on it, but who else is on it?
Right. Zane. Say nothing about that. There's too many memes there.
Billy Zane.
Yeah, Billy Zane. Classic reference. Ever since Titanic. Yeah, right. Crystal, right, and Nookie. Now, Nookie, yeah, Crystal keeps on going. Now, Crystal, by the way, I thought was harshly dealt with by Imperial.
German Steeko, we call him.
Yeah. And the coach is Devil Walk. I mean,
is this team washed up? They got the appropriate name.
No.
This motherfucker did it all for the Nookie.
Yeah,
no.
It's mental. It's mental. Like, I've never seen. I like. By the way, like all of those players, like Devil Walk,
yeah, some likable guys.
Yeah, all great dudes. But I mean, Steeko does not. Like, how's his career done this? Like, you're on Mouse Sports. Mouse Sports, very nearly the number one team in the world at one point when they lost that fucking DreamHack. And it didn't happen, but it would have happened if they'd won it, but they didn't. And then you get replaced by Snacks, the biggest joke waste of money I think I've seen in fucking CS. Like, put it this way, if you had to say buying an Overwatch franchise or buying Snacks from Mouse Sports, Snacks for $350,000, yeah, it might just actually be a worse investment.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, then you get brought back and you're like, yeah, listen, we're getting rid of all of that negativity.
Yeah, the fucking Misfits owner was looking at that Snacks move going, you just fucking don't even care about money.
Right? So they're like, don't worry, we're coming back. Sign this fucking lengthy contract. We'll get you back in and we'll get you and Chris J, the future of this organization. Mouse Sports has benched Chris J and Steek. What? It's like a week. It's like a week. And then you're like, well, fucking hell, at least our pedigree's good because Mouse Sports walked it back. They walked back the mistake.
Yeah.
They realised, so everybody knows I'm good. Anyone? Phone ringing? Steeko's on the phone to his agent. So who've we got? That Pronax team, innit? No chance. Fucking hell. Well, at least no chance to go into. Well, it's mental. It's mental what's happening to him. Nobody deserves what's happened to Steeko. It's wild. It's one of the most ridiculous. He is one of the most underappreciated players I think I've ever seen.
Of course.
It's mental. So anyway, but this does mean that Mouse Sports have a very interesting new lineup. Yes. Carrigan returns. It's his fourth spell? Including 1.6?
Let me think. I think third. I think he was only in it once in CSGO.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Third.
Yes. I think it's his third overall. Could be his fourth. So he comes back. Right. Now, this is brilliant because the thing that he does get to do, Chris J, you are now absolved of in-game leadership duty. You are free to go ham sandwich once again and be one of the fucking sick AWPers we have in CSGO. I'm excited about that. Rops is in that young player in an existential funk.
Might have the right in-game leader for him.
Yeah, hasn't turned up in big games. Doesn't, needs to be loved and nurtured and coddled and brought back to life like one of fucking Oscar's birds when it has a broken wing. Like, yeah. And there's Carrigan just being sick in his mouth and bringing him back. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, that's really good for Rops. I love that trio.
Isn't being sick down his mouth really good for him?
Yeah, it's really good for him, mate. It's really good. If you can't eat, mate, you'll take mama birding. You'll take
that's
some
in-game leader, mate.
Yeah, that's what in-game leader. That's what it is. That's how it works, right? So that trio really excites me. Now we get into the more murky territory. So let's talk about Woxic coming into Mouse Sports. Now, no doubt, Woxic is probably, he has been the best thing about Hellraiser's for a while. He is a sick, explosive player, was always bizarrely on the periphery of Space Soldiers, which I don't know why Xantares and Woxic are like Pele and Maradona, right, for Turkey, but they just will not fucking play with each other and don't seem to respect each other as players at all. I don't know why. I don't know why that is, because if those two had played on that Space Soldiers team at the same time, we have a very different CS history, like no doubt about it. So anyway, Woxic has been a phenomenal player, but this is his first time really stepping up to the plate, stepping up to the limelight. Now, I don't know what. I think it's going to be a good move overall. I don't know the details about relocation. I don't know how good his English is, which is definitely the language this team is going to have to speak. There may be an adjustment period. There may be a settling in period. But overall, I think this is very exciting. We also get to the problem. Chris J might be going back to rifles, might be secondary open. Again, we've got this issue.
Yeah.
In terms of what we do with Woxic, because you've got to give him the AWP, I would say. So let's see how it pans out. But I'm very, very excited about Woxic getting a chance to play on a bigger team. The one for me that really stands out as questionable, especially when you've got Stiko waiting in the wings, which, by the way, the one thing this team seems to be lacking is a support player that can set up the Woxics, the Resurgent Rock.
I'm scared they're going to make fucking Chris J do it again, mate. I'm so scared.
No, I think it's happening. Yeah. And they've brought in Frozen, who is this young 16-year-old explosive player, been talked about for a while, talked about since, breaking out in FPL. This, for me, it's like they didn't realize they got so lucky with Rops actually being legit. Yes. That they think they can just replicate that. That if a young player has reputation and talent, and you bring him into a top-tier team with a good in-game leader, it's all going to click. Well, it doesn't work like that. In fact, very rarely does it work. If you don't believe me, go ask NA. I will show you the fucking elephant's graveyard.
There are so many famous stories of people who did become really good later, but the first time, you fail.
Yeah, they had to. That was the essential component. They had never been to the summit and failed to get to the very, very peak. Never. So that's part of the development. It breaks most players. They can't accept it. They're like, but I'm good and I'm playing on a top team and I have better players around me. Why isn't it working? And that fucking existential crisis they get locked in is why they go on to basically be another Roker instead of being a Rops, So I don't know about that. For me, there isn't a world where that lineup doesn't look better if you take Frozen out and you put Stiko in. Looks like it's got all the balance, all the components. You've got so I don't know if the reason they haven't committed to Stiko going out is because maybe Carrigan, like he did with Kiyoshima, has kind of said, keep Stiko around because I might want to use him at some point if Frozen doesn't work out. But the way Mouse Sports have packaged this team is like, it's completely new, it's rebranded, it's young, it's exciting, and we've got these two veterans now to steer the ship. So I really don't know what to make. I think this is a huge gamble. I think anyone that has like high expectations for Mouse Sports I saw Moses tweet this. I think this is a very different beast. This isn't a TSM/Astralis. This isn't a phase. I know Carrigan is the honeymoon master. I think that's an unreasonable expectation for this team with its level of experience and blend of players and communication issues. I think anybody expecting Mouse Sports to be a dangerous threat right at the start, I think it's wishful thinking. I think this is a long-term project.
The thing with this move is, like, first of all, it's like I did the fucking cursed monkey paw, because obviously I've been saying all the time, just give Carrigan Mouse Spots. Yeah, we give him it, but there's no Sonny and no Oscar. Right, well, that wasn't really the point, was it? I didn't just literally mean give him any fucking team and call it Mouse Spots. I actually meant all the good players as well, you daft cunt, because then he might actually be able to do something with them. Also, if you have all these players under contract, give it one last go with a fucking real in-game lead. Come on, man. At least, like, what I'll never understand in esports is, you know what? One thing, Richard, I'll never blame people for is if they do a move that's the wrong move, but it was only questionable, it was hard to know which was the right one, and they decided that the reason I'm going to do the move I choose is because I need to know what if. Like, I need to know what if I could get Simple and Flamey into MIBR. How can I not go for that chance if it's available? Because as you saw, Simple went on to become like the fucking best player you've ever seen. Always, like the idea that you don't go for the what if, that can haunt you. If you try the what if and it doesn't work, you can live with that. So again, if you've had this core that's been so good, why not give Carrigan a whirl with it? Why not tell him we start the roster moves in a month from now, or something like that? Because I agree with you. The problem is, if I wipe my memory of the Blastmouse Spots lineup, this isn't a bad little project for him. Obviously, there's a lot of players that he can really like show his skill as an in-game leader with again. He can make them better. It's a better lineup than the fucking Envious lineup. Obviously, you could even debate maybe the talent here overall is better than the Optical North teams he might have ended up on. As far as for Carrigan, it's not a bad project, a really good chance to turn things around. But I'm kind of with you that the problem I have here is people forget that about Mouse Sports. When I used to call Mouse Sports like mini FaZe, well, the one area that Mouse Sports actually had an edge on FaZe is they had supportive elements, whereas FaZe just had Carrigan. They were making like Rain and Olaf be supportive elements. They're never going to be that. They can do a bit of it, but they're never going to truly embrace that. So the problem with this team, I agree with you, is I know it goes in the face of all modern thinking. If you ask a lot of the commentators and the experts and the pro players, they'll all tell you support player doesn't exist. There's nothing that, fucking Stickle could do that Frozen couldn't do. Now, if they said that, go and read the interview with Sonny, you fucking moron. We've literally got proof that there's things these people can do that they can't. But let's say they mean in-game. It's still not taken for granted that like these players will all be sick at the same time when they're all overlapping in a team. That's the problem. So I do think like the ceiling is really high. Basement's also pretty low though. So where you land between the two, like on the one hand, I'd like to say Carrigan's just going to be a genius and figure it out. I do have a lot of faith in him to figure out a lot of these aspects.
Absolutely.
But I like you say, if he'd come into the Mouse Sports team as it was, he'd still have had work to do, but it's not that much work and you're right at the top. This is like starting at step zero and then trying to go with talent.
And the crazy thing is about this, right? So I heard behind the scenes, right? Just clarify for me what Mouse Sports would have to do to get to this major in Germany.
Oh, they have to go through everything. They have to go through the online qualifier to get into the. Well, they'll be in the. I don't even think you get invited to the closed qualifier. You go through online qualifier to get to the closed qualifier. To get to the minor, you have to qualify from that either directly or you go to the fucking play-in and then eventually you get to the majors. So you have to go through all those steps. I think nowadays you might have to play like 30 games or something mental.
Right. So what I heard was the new CEO took over because apparently what shook everyone at the core.
Yeah, I heard this actually that apparently like Genghis left, the long-time owner or whatever.
Yeah, he did. He sold all his shares to a conglomerate called Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. Right. But yeah, Cengiz, for those who don't know, he is Mouse Sports, man.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker's been there like for 15 years. He's old school, but he's decided to sell up. Probably because the money's right. But apparently, this whole failure at the getting the major shook them to the fucking core. Like it was the existential crisis. Like players were being put under pressure, and contracts were suddenly up for discussion, and people, everybody was super pissed off. Now, the reason apparently they want to make these wholesale changes is because they got this major coming up, and it's actually going to be in Berlin. And whatever you think whatever you think about Mouse Sports are moving to Hamburg. They remain a German organization, but they've always been based in Cologne. Yes. I think historically,
they shared the office with SK.
Yeah, and they share the office with SK. They're getting their own digs. But Mouse Sports, for all it's had an international team, they consider themselves to be very much a German organization. And they've had to watch Big, who, lest we forget, had Christian Lenz, also Mouse Sports alumni, create a brand new team from scratch and do better than them and be the
with a bunch of their old players as well.
Yeah. So
the ones they kicked.
All of this has led to them being like, we need a new change in direction. We've got to go and get that German major. So in their mind, they think cutting all the players that let them down, as they perceive it, is the best way to get that goal. But they've actually made it harder for themselves. This is going to be such a long, treacherous road to even qualify that you need all the experience. You need all the experience, but they just want to make complete wholesale changes because they think that's going to be better. Because how can we trust these players that failed, with a much easier road to travel? So that's why, they've apparently made these changes, and I do not subscribe to that at all. And I understand how important it is for them to be thinking, if it all clicks, we could be in contention for that major on German soil and blah blah blah. And think about how if Ents can make a final, what could we do? But it's pie in the sky right now. The fact is, those online qualifiers are fucking hell. So enjoy that, and enjoy that with a team where you've got a 16-year-old starlet that has never faced that kind of pressure and scrutiny.
Sure.
Enjoy it all, because I think they've made it so difficult for themselves to achieve that goal. But anyway, so final thoughts about this mouse sports team for me. I mean, I don't know. Currently, right now, unbelievably, they're ranked 20th in the world.
They have had a bad few months, I guess.
But that is such a false position. They're behind Furia and Valiant. They're down there with Forza and Hellraisers. Hellraisers are dog shit.
Of course.
There's no way Mouse Sports and Hellraisers are comparable.
Valiant... The problem is Hellraisers were in the major, so remember,
exactly.
That's always the flaw that people point out, and it is a flaw. Yeah. It's the reason why when I do my rankings, again, this is a little nuance that people won't understand. When I do my ranking, if you go to a LAN and you just lose all your games that come last, you get nothing. I don't give you anything for that, mate. You don't get... Just attending off an invite shouldn't get you anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do realize that we need to start wrapping up the show.
Yes, I got to go soon.
Yeah, because you got to go. You got a previous engagement, a hot date. So that's the Mouse Sports talk. That's the big story. Let's just quickly do our $100 Patreon question. Reykjavik on Steam says, considering how poorly the new phase lineup is doing, maybe they could improve their roster by getting an in-game leader. For example, as a Danish in-game leader who is famous for taking disparate stars and forming a coherent team, maybe FaZe could pick him up. And the thing is, Reykjavik, obviously you're joking because you're talking about Carrigan. But the reality is, they had a terrible result, didn't they? They lost to NIP online in ECS,
someone like that.
Which again, I'm not going to go down the NRG, the complexity fan route of you fucking one online result. But again, the faith that Nico has in himself to improve as an in-game leader should not be echoed by anyone.
Oh, the good thing is, by the way, in that series, he went plus 28.
Oh yeah. So I mean, imagine you're playing super well individually, but everything else isn't working. I don't know.
The sad thing is, I'm sure actually, he is an older guy. I'm sure he actually isn't very toxic to his teammates. But I'd just love to believe it was the old Nico, and he was just like, why aren't any of you fuckers doing anything? It's he's top fragging. He's if Simple had been the in-game leader,
Here's the thing. There's an argument to basically say, look, yes, we all know that Rain isn't as good as he was. We all know that Olaf Meister isn't as good as he was. We know Olaf Meister was completely carried at the last major, effectively dead weight, right? We all know that. But the reality is, yes, they have to find it within themselves to play, but part of the in-game leadership role is to help them succeed and to find ways to make it work. If you cannot do that, that is your failure.
You failed.
Yeah, you cannot just say,
that's actually...
Carrigan would have loved to be able to do that, wouldn't he?
Of course. Yeah, that's why I always say, by the way, I always make the point that if, so I'll give you the example. When the G2 lineup failed, I said, yeah, okay, I think it's not unfair to remove existence. At the end of the day, he could come out later, as he did, and be like, well, I didn't get entire control. And, it doesn't matter, mate. It was your team. You had the responsibility. Box stops for you. That's being a leader.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't want it, don't sign up. So anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Don't know how much of this will be left in the show. Who gives a fuck? Can't wait to read the Reddit comments, predictions for the Reddit comments. Why don't they just talk about the game? Haha, they got it all wrong. Look at them try and analyze the game. They don't know anything about it. I don't even play it anymore. I ain't gonna lie to you. Can't do it. I'm sick of being recognized on the American servers because I got a unique voice in America and having fucking morons follow me around and flashbang me. Yeah, I mean, not that I could be asked anyway, because there's an expectation that I have to be fucking global elite when I'm in my fucking late 30s with one eye, one hand.
For anyone who doesn't know, that's also the shit thing, right? I'm not joking. If I play, so I play sometimes with Vince, like late night at 2 a.m. or something. And if I go on comms in matchmaking, the amount of times people recognize me instantly. And this is the annoying thing, Rich. If they just acted vaguely like a human being and just like, hey, Thorin, or what's up, or whatever, I'd type back. You know what they do? First of all, the second they recognize me, if they're on my team, they demand all of my attention for the rest of the match. They're constantly typing to me the whole time, trying to ask me questions, typing the whole time. And then they'll start saying mental stuff like, did he get a girlfriend yet? It's like, what? I don't even know you. What is this?
It's wild, isn't it?
It's not fucking Wedding Crashers or something, you daft cunt. Get out.
No, honestly, the amount of people...
And also, now I can't verbally abuse all the Russians now that you've not recognised me.
Yeah, I know, exactly, right? Brilliant! Anyway, so look, so fuck all. I play Dota, so that's going to be in there, and then they'll probably, Richard said he's going to quit doing investigative. I'm definitely done with that. Let's make some money. Any VC capital groups, hit me up. I'm ready to run a business for you into the ground with a big fucking $2 million a year salary for me. I'm on board now. Come get me. Seriously, it's not a joke. I'm done trying to save this scene from itself. I'm willing to be part of the problem rather than the solution. Come pay me the money. I'm ready to sell out completely. I sold out a little bit with sponsorships. I never thought I would do it, right? But now I'm ready. I'm gonna go all the way. Come, bring your millions unto me. It's my time now. I'm ethically, flexible. Right? Let's do it. Okay. Right. Anyway,
most reasonable ending to one of them.
I just can't give a fuck anymore. It's a waste of time. Let young.
So anyway, see you all next week. Thanks for the Patreon money and all that.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, shout out to our sponsors who are not ethically compromised as I am. Rivalry.
Your sponsor timing is fucking so bad. It's unreal, isn't it?
Well, I've been learning a lot from Norm MacDonald. Let me tell you about the man great. Anyway, so shout out to Rivalry, who basically fund Sam and make all the content possible. Please support them. They are trying to do the right thing in the eSports space. They've funded like white papers into gambling and all sorts of stuff. It's not bullshit with them. That's why we work together. I'm not even fucking...
Don't, but that's
not reading that. Mate, there was an account called that on the Cadred forums. And let me tell you, they'd photoshopped an unacceptable picture of me.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, shout out to them. Please go and support them. You can use the referral code RLS to get $350 of VIP bonuses. And, of course, our patrons. $100 patrons, Jerky's Mini and Detlef Insomniac, Reykjavik on Steam, Mikhail and Alex Ragnarsson. You get a $100 question. You can ask them. Thanks, Reykjavik, for asking a question and keeping it brief. Appreciate it. And our $50 patrons, Benagagi Assassin, Carve, Roosty, Colin Penny, Nostradamus, Sard Sawar, Madsen, TC Owens, Manuel Stockley, Marcus Kianpar, and Watch Doge. Thanks to everybody else who chips in. That was this week's episode of By the Numbers. We'll probably see you on Tuesday next week. So until then, take care of yourselves. Peace.